Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Listing Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Keith Hernandez.
And I'm Jesseline Chavez, co-host here on the Listing Agent Podcast.
And today we have guest speaker Chris Moreno with the Moore Group.
Viewpoint Lending, dude.
Dang,
Give him a round of applause.
He said Moore Group. That's all right. I used to be the Moore Group.
I got you.
Oh.
Viewpoint Lending now. Hey, at least you knew that. Sometimes people call it the wrong name anyway. No worries.
That was my bad.
No, you're good.
Chris Moreno. Anyways, so Chris, tell us a little about yourself, what you do, what you like for breakfast.
Nice. So I am one of the chief production officers at Viewpoint Lending. Used to be the Moore Group. Got in the industry in 2009 and started out as a loan officer, right? Grew, moved a couple different companies, started our brand back in 2017. We met kind of around that time. Fast forward a couple years, that ended up turning into Viewpoint Lending, now a direct lender. And now we've got a team of about 28 loan officers. So just hitting it hard in this market and trying to pivot with the market. So
Nice. So what got you into lending originally? What were you doing before this?
yeah, so in 2009, prior to 2009, I've had every job, you name it. I used to be at Stater Brothers. I used to be a car detailer, a truck driver, construction. I'd done it all. Costco down the street here. So in 2009, I'd gotten laid off like a lot of people do in construction, right? And weeks later, they typically want to hire you back. So 2009, get laid off. I was making maybe 25, 28 bucks an hour at that time. 2009 was pretty good. I was younger, right? Making good money, working for the union. And my buddy at the time had said, you know what? You'd be good in lending. You're good with people. You communicate well, and you kind of got this personality. Get into sales. So went full force in it, tried the real estate thing in 2009, tried the loan side of things, and really fell in love with loans. A few weeks later, they call me back to get my job back like they always do. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing it. So that's how I got in. And right prior to that, my dad was a truck driver. So kind of following his footsteps in regards to the industries he was in. And I'm like, listen, where am I going to go from a truck driver? Like I'm foreman, like these jobs. And I think I felt at that time I'm a little smarter than what I can do, right? Let me go for more. So that's how I got in 2009, man. It was a tough market too.
I was going to say that was a really tough time to transfer into this type of field.
100%.
So that transition going from a structured pay to a sales job, what were some of your fears? What were some of your struggles? How was that transition?
Yeah, so transition was really tough because I'm making 25, 28 bucks an hour, now going to unemployment, right? Collecting unemployment just to pay my bills. Like I said, at that time, I'm a little younger, so the unemployment just allowed me to pay my bills, but I was still borrowing money from family. Family's asking, how long are you going to give this? So it was tough. I was an assistant to my buddy who got me in the industry, so anything he wanted, whether I'm scanning paperwork, I'm faxing stuff because people used to fax in the machine back then. I'm going up the hill because it was in Rancho when I got in the industry. That's where I started, Rancho Cucamonga. I used to drive up to Victorville to pick up paperwork. Like you name it, I did it. So it was a struggle. And at times I wasn't getting paid. Actually, I was not getting paid. So at times when I needed money, I'd say, hey bro, I've been working like 2 weeks. Can you give me like 200 bucks? I need some gas and like I got a flat. It seemed like during those struggle times when I first got in the industry, that's when all this stuff would go wrong. I can't tell you how many flats I got during those years. So
yeah, driving to Victorville.
yeah. So it was a grind because I didn't have that steady paycheck that was more than the unemployment. So I was working 6-7 days a week.
Hey, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger.
Exactly.
And what did your family say? Because it looked like, is your like mom, dad was like 9-to-5 jobs?
Yep, 9-to-5. As funny as that sounds, I always thought my mom was full time, and then like maybe 5 years ago, I'm like, hey mom, you're retired, you got 401k, da da da. You're like, how was it working? She's like, oh, I was always part time. I'm like, man, growing up, I thought you were full time. So she was a part time at Kaiser, 9-to-5 type job, so to say. My dad he did the entrepreneur thing early on, trying to. He owned his own big rig trucks. So he did that, but then he went back to construction, truck driving. He hauled freight for a couple companies years and years ago in the 80s, 90s. So them being in the 9-to-5, I didn't have a lot of entrepreneurs around me. So what would happen is when you ask the 9-to-5 people, when you're in an entrepreneur job, they give you 9-to-5 advice, right? Gotcha. That advice doesn't always suit you when you're trying to grind. Like commonly I got asked, like, how long are you going to give this? Like, you're collecting unemployment. Yeah, we've lent you money. Like, how long are you going to do this? I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm going for it. Right. So, and during that time, it got a little discouraged. I went back to college, tried that, went on academic probation. That was tough, but always knew that mortgages were my passion. But they were being supportive, but they were also being realistic, right? It's 2009. People were getting laid off. People were losing their homes. So they weren't always super supportive, but it was them being parents.
Yeah, I'm sure they're just trying to protect you.
Exactly.
You know, so that's not always a bad thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you being your entrepreneur self, and you were around all these 9 to 5 people, who did you look to advice for? Who did you find anyone that was your mentor or anyone?
Yeah, at that time, that was my buddy who got me in the industry. So he shared, I was like his assistant. You name it, like I said, I did it. When he would have a buyer, I tried the real estate side. I didn't have my either license at that time, so I used to go show his clients homes, right? It was okay. Like this is when people used to get in your car, you go take them, right? 2009, 10. So he was my mentor, and when I brought a deal in on my own, he would help me structure it. And I was with him all the way up until 2017. So that was essentially who would be my mentor at that time. And then as time progressed, my mentors kind of changed.
Mm-hmm. Do you still have a relationship with him?
No, I don't.
No. Okay.
Through the years, so when he got me in the industry, I'm a different person, really learned a lot. But as time grew, we just operated differently.
Right.
We had different business models, and the way he saw what he wanted to do in the industry and what I wanted to do in the industry. And that's why it was called the More Group, which you guys know about.
Right.
It was more than just being a lender. Let me give.
Right.
Because it wasn't always aligning with the business model that they had, right? It was, Chris, why are you doing open house signs? Why are you helping so much? Why are you doing videos? You're not a videographer. I'm like, I'm just going to help out, and the business will come back. So that's where 2017 is like, hey, cool. You've taught me so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Mad respect. But I'm going to go do my own thing.
Yeah. And that takes a lot of courage to recognize that,
It
know, because some people don't have that like in them that, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings, this and that. But at some time you grow so much as a person, as a leader, a role, what you do in your job, and you have to kind of have that clean break.
Right.
But I love that model, giving back, because that's what I try to do too.
For sure. Yeah. It's tough for people to wrap their head around that though, because if you're giving first, it's like, when do I get back? But if you're genuinely giving first to give value, typically it's going to come back over time. And if it doesn't, then you evaluate, okay, I don't need to give that person anymore. Let me give someone else.
Right.
And normally over time it will come back, but you've got to be patient. But it's the ultimate play. You know what I mean? And it feels good to give. You see, someone on the corner that's begging. If you have the ability to give, you feel good a little bit. So it's self-gratifying a little bit, but it will come back.
Chris, I've known you for such a long time. I mean, how many years has it been?
It's got to be at least 2017 or before. So we're talking 6-7 years. And
you were part of the More Group. Every time I've seen you, you've always seemed so happy, so excited, just excited to work.
Yeah.
How do you handle stress?
So I get asked that often. I don't know what it is about me, but I don't get stressed. It's unfair. My version of what I look like when I'm stressed, because I don't wear it. I'll give you an example. So I live down the street in La Habra here, and my house got broken into, and they stole some big ticket items, like a classic car, another off-road vehicle. And I remember I wasn't mad. My dad was pissed. Man, what are we going to do? We called the cops. They can't do anything. He's like, you're not even mad. I'm like, well, what am I going to be mad for? Like, I'm going to try to get it back. Let me look. Let me go look at these cameras on Whittier Boulevard and all this stuff. But so something about me, and I can't tell you when it was, I don't get stressed. If I do get stressed, in the sense of my version of it, I just get a little in myself, in my own head, get a little quiet. So someone might be like, hey, bro, you cool? You seem a little quiet today. But I get out of it quick, because I've realized over time, I've got a lot of people paying attention to me now, and I can't be stressed, and I can't show that stress. So if you're the leader of an army and you're a general, like, you can't show fear and stress, right? You can be that, but you shouldn't show it. So I just handle it a little differently. And I try to, if I do feel my version of stress, I try to have it last as little as possible. As crazy as it sounds, if I am stressed, like the other day I was stressed a little bit, right? My version, I was in the office, it was about 6-7 p.m. I took a shot with a buddy. I'm like, dude, let's take a shot real fast. He's like, you cool? Took a quick shot. And then a lot of times I'll get out of myself, like out of my own head sometimes, and I'll just clap real loud. And the other morning, had a tough day. I was in the office early, 7:30. No one was around. I played the music loud. I'll play music really loud. Yeah. And then I just start dancing as I'm drinking my coffee. So I try to do an action, whether that's smile, clap, try to pump someone else up, and I get out of myself when I am stressed. So,
and that's what makes you such a great leader. It seems like you turn every negative into a positive.
Yeah,
sure.
It wasn't always like that, but because like you asked, when the breakup was with my old business partner, prior to that breakup, there was a lot on my shoulders of like, I wasn't the same Chris people saw. So I was a little more quiet, a little more reserved. And people like, I actually had a buddy of mine that's my buddy now. He realized it back then. He's like, everything cool. I kind of realized something was up. So with that relationship that wasn't mutually beneficial anymore, and I was growing in a different direction, I wasn't the same Chris that you know now, right? So I've grown to be comfortable with the person that I am. You know what I mean? Because when I was in that relationship before of the mentor, essentially I did a lot of second guessing, because it's, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? What are people going to think of you? Because literally, it's a crazy story. My combo locks code, I've said this story before, my combo lock code at the time, because I was going to flip my house that I now live in. For the general contractors, my code was SMILE, SMILE. So this is kind of how you see where my frame of mind was. He used to do flips, right? So he's helping me use his resources. He's like, what's the lock combo code so we can have our contractor go down there? I said, it's SMILE. He's like, why would you have it be SMILE, bro? It's kind of like weird. Like, you've got grown dudes, construction dudes going to get in there. I'm going to tell them the code SMILE. I'm like, yeah, bro, like, SMILE. It actually helps with things, right?
There's nothing wrong with that.
So with feedback like that, as time grew, I second guessed myself, like, maybe I shouldn't be like that, or maybe I shouldn't be doing videos. So when I grew into myself, it's like, cool, shake of the hands, respect. I hope you succeed. I'm going to go succeed. Right. I just found myself different. And then, man, it was something off my shoulders at that time.
Would you say, like, with the whole stress thing, right, when someone broke into your house and got the big ticket items, don't you feel it's like kind of what you value? Like, maybe you didn't value those things as much to get stressed about it, because you know there's nothing that you can do. For
sure. And I think, like some people say, I didn't, like you said, like I didn't value it, meaning the price. I didn't value it in the sense that I think when something happens, I'll just buy it again. Right. Maybe I can't buy it right now. I'll just make the money. I'm going to buy a better one. So yeah, I didn't see it like that. It is a lack of me giving value to it, because I can get it again. Because I put things into very, very opposite ends of the spectrum kind of situations. Like, I always think when something bad's happening, okay, I'm still alive. I still get to live another day. Yes. As long as I'm alive, like, nothing else is a big deal. It's kind of weird sometimes. So, you know, other people just like, I've talked to realtors when I was in other, you know, offices, and I'm talking to some realtors, and man, they have a bad deal and it's ruining their whole day. They walk around the office, they're talking about it, hey, and they're telling everybody about this bad deal, and now they haven't done anything. Yeah. Right. So it's that's a good point. Lack of giving the value to that, because I'll just get it again. It's just money.
Right. Yeah.
You know, with a lot of self-progress that you do you have any practices? Do you read any books? Do you do podcasts? Do you meditate? For sure. So I read a lot. And the cool thing is, because now I have more people counting on me, we have a sales book club every week. Oh, nice.
So it's always a sales related book. Right now we're reading Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Every week we read a few chapters, and then it's a collaborative environment. So the reading, I've started doing a lot more than I used to when we created the More group, because I'm like, okay, more people are counting on me, right? Brought my sister on. All these people are starting to count on me, because now I'm quote unquote the team leader. So started reading a lot more. Then I tried to get other people involved in reading. So now I have people that are looking to me to read, to hold the book club. So now it's making me want to read more, right? Podcasts, I don't really listen to the radio much of anymore. If I do, it'll be on a Friday on the way home from the office, because I'm not having really any appointments on Saturday. I still work a little bit, but I know that I don't need to feed myself on Friday night, because I'm not going into the office on Saturday. But Monday, even Sunday night sometimes, Monday through Thursday, I'm listening to podcasts and no radio. And then I do work out every day now. I just started that in May. I'm the guy that I played sports, but I never worked out. So I do work out 5, 6, 7 days a week in our accountability group text. Everybody else is working out as well. So I know people are counting on me. I post a picture in the morning. Some people might think it's arrogant, or why is he posting it? I post it because the days I don't make it, I feel guilty that someone's like, oh, he didn't post his picture today. So I just told the world by not posting that I'm not working out, right? So I don't meditate. I do my version of it, which I haven't made as much time as possible. I bought a little like a little planner by Tom Bilyeu. If you've heard him, Impact Theory, he has a podcast. He has this nice little journal. So I started journaling when I can. I rate my day. That would happen in the morning. I haven't been making time to do it. And then I would do my version of meditating. It starts out with just prayer, and I'm just really, really giving gratitude. Literally, I always say, like, listen, I'm grateful to be alive. Thank you. Like, give me the power and to know what I need to say in the situations, and know when to keep quiet. And my meditation is just probably max 2-3 minutes, quiet, nobody's in the office, and I'm just praying and giving gratitude.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love the morning time. Like, I feel like the world is still,
For
you
sure.
know, it's just like that peace and quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to clean.
you?
Like, I'm like, that's my version of like, if I'm stressed, I'm like cleaning everything, you know?
No, yeah. Well, you get in your own head. You're just like, you're not thinking about it. And my equivalent of that is in the shower. I've talked to a lot of buddies, like in the showers when I start thinking of these crazy ideas,
Right.
and my phone will be right there, and I'll grab my phone with wet hands, take a little note.
Yeah.
It's weird. That's my version of the cleaning is in the shower. That's when I'll think of some crazy stuff.
That's funny. I kind of do the same thing, except I write my notes on the glass.
Oh my God. You hope
See?
it doesn't disappear.
I know, right? Okay, wait. Now I go to my phone. We'll take it out. But no, that's great to hear. That's very, inspiring and motivational, definitely for a lot of people who are, trying to figure out their own game and their own practices for themselves.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about lead gen. So where do you get a lot of your business from? How did you start out getting your business, and where are you at right now with that?
So when I started out 2009, fast forward all the way to 2017 More Group days, it was really just giving. 2009, Zillow wasn't big, right? So we'd go out to builders in Rancho Cucamonga. Okay. We'd want to meet some of those people, right? Open houses were huge. Back then, flyers were like, you provide me flyers, that's great. Now it's like, what are you going to pay my marketing ads? So it was always giving. Fast forward to, 2014, 15, 16, 17, it was just hitting the streets, right? Willing to put the work in that other people didn't want. And I knew I was on the right path when people were like, dude, why are you doing that? You're crazy. I had another lender tell me, listen, you're not a realtor. Why are you putting up signs? And I'm like, what does it matter? Like, you don't have to put them up. I'm putting them up. It was because I had made that person feel like they needed to do that to go out and get the business. She's like, I don't do open houses. I never do open houses. I haven't done an open house in 10 years. I'm like, that's cool. You've got them out of business. So it always was hitting the weekends, hitting open houses, and just hitting the pavement in whatever way I can. That morphed into videos. Before our videographer behind the camera, it was me. I'd show up with my iPhone. I had a handheld gimbal. At 11, 12 o'clock at night, I'm the one editing on an iPad. The videos look like crap, and I share them sometimes on social media, but it was always thinking, what does a realtor need? What do they hate doing? And let me provide that value, right? They hate doing open houses alone. Let me be with them. They hate paying for flyers. I'll pay for the flyers. There used to be a Kinko's down the street. Like, it was always giving is how I got my business. And going out in the field, I was never really staying in the office. I was always trying to be out. Events, open houses, broker previews, like anything I can show up to where people were is what I wanted to do.
So a little bit with, because it sounds like you're really good at branding yourself.
Yeah.
Really marketing.
For sure.
What are some marketing tips, branding tools that you're doing now that's really helping you?
Yeah. So over the years, kudos to you guys and your guys' brokerage and Angel and Patty is, I learned branding, paying attention, right? So I bought my house in La Habra in, I think, 2015 or 16. It sat vacant for a year. I didn't really know how hard you guys and Angel and Patty were going. So I started paying attention. I'm like, there's a billboard, there's vans, there's signs everywhere. These people are branding, right? I wasn't branding really hard prior to the More Group. Once we started the More Group, I'm like, I got to go for this. Mm-hmm. So what did I do? I kind of mimicked. So hopefully I don't get in trouble, but I bought a van, right? I had a box in the back because I was going to go put up open house signs for the realtors I was working with. Mm-hmm. Let me put them up for you. I wrapped the van, right? I had my own open house signs because agents didn't always have 20, 30 open house signs like I thought they needed. They had 5 or 6. So let me get my own. So I took a couple rules from you guys. I still haven't done the billboard. I'd love to do it one day because I love seeing that thing. So I've started branding as hard as I can early on. Doing events, I got in trouble for branding too hard because we used to be the helpful mortgage group. And Honda served us a cease and desist.
No way.
Yeah. So
wow.
All it was helpful. Like literally, that's what our motto was in 2017, starting the More Group.
Yeah.
So I branded with that. So we would show up dressed like helpful mortgage people and got in trouble for it. But we always wanted to brand and kind of be in unison. Like even now till this day, if we go to an event, there's going to be an event in Brea here, I think October 30th. I'll try to create some Viewpoint swag and shirts that people want to wear, something that's inspiring. You know what I mean? I want our Viewpoint brand to be more than just a lending brand. I want it to be inspirational. So we have little sayings and stuff that actual people will wear these shirts outside of the office and work. So branding is huge. Anything that we can have people feel what our branding is, and social media has been huge, right? We post a lot of stuff on there. And when you look at our social media and other direct lenders and banks, you get a human feel and touch to our company, which is what we want. So branding is huge.
Can you give any social media tips?
So a few social media tips. So this worked with me with my appointment that I mentioned, I think before the cameras were rolling. So number one, if you're kind of shy on social media, just starting. So I have a little tactic that I got from our CEO. If I see a funny meme or anything that relates to me growing up in the 90s or high school in 2002 when I graduated, I will always post that on my story. And I can't tell you how many clients and realtors, because remember, our clients at Viewpoint are realtors that will possibly give us business and clients that want to buy or refi, right? So I always post funny stories, whether it's a cat meme because I've got cats, whether it's something that's related to an old toy from the 90s, and people will engage with me, right? It's nothing about loans. So I do that to then warm me up to start doing the content I try to do now. The other thing is the $1.80 strategy I learned from Gary Vaynerchuk. So this actually got me an appointment on Thursday. So people that I pay attention to and realtors and other loan officers, if I like their content, I'm going to reply to their story, a fire emoji or 100 emoji, or I'm going to leave a comment. Hey, congrats on the listing. That's a badass listing. So I give what's called my 2 cents. You've heard of that saying, like Chris always likes to give his 2 cents, always like to give his opinion. When you start giving your opinion, sometimes people will follow you back. They'll go on your page, right? We all are kind of snoopers. Someone that I don't know leaves a comment. I'm like, oh, who is this? I'm going to go on it, go on their page, kind of, oh, maybe I'll give them a follow. So I try to engage with people. The reason why it's called a $1.80 strategy is if you did that 90 times a day, your 2 cents 90 times is $1.80. So commenting, and that's worked for some of our loan officers. And then just for social media, stop making it about yourself, and start educating, giving them a reason to want to save the video. If I post as a lender, hey, I closed in 7 days, 10 days, the consumer has no reason to save it. Give them an idea, a hack, educational tip that, you know what, I'm not ready to buy, but I got to save this for later. So make it less about yourself, and just be comfortable with looking like crap when you first shoot. The video's not going to be edited the way you like it, and then you'll get better and better and better after all the reps come.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing with a lot of people. Is they're shy,
right?
Or they're afraid to post because they're gonna think what everyone thinks about them,
or they feel like they have to be perfect all the time.
Yeah,
right,
you know.
Right.
And it's not about that. I mean, I could post a picture of a flower, you know, but people are still going to see Jasleen Chavez, realtor, you know. So as long as they're seeing your name, it matters what the content is that you post,
right?
But not so much, right? Because you're constantly seeing your name come up.
For sure. And if you're uncomfortable, like you said, some people are uncomfortable. Man, what am I going to say? Start out with 2 people.
Right.
Make it an interview style, right? And then take time. If you're taking time to be on social media, write a script. Maybe you don't have a teleprompter because you can't afford it, but look at the script. Okay, these are my ideas, and then shoot, right? Prepare, because if you're not prepared, you're going to come out as not prepared on the video. But make it as simple as possible. Have someone else help you. You're going to be shy in front of that person, but make it interview style at first. Just get comfortable with this camera being in your face and the lighting, and then it'll progressively, I think, get better, and you'll just be more comfortable like all of us tend to be.
Right.
Do you use any special apps to edit your videos or any of that stuff? Because I know there's a lot of people who are completely fresh with that, or do you just use the Instagram ones that are already given to you? So
because of technology in this AI world we're in, we've started at the Viewpoint level for our entire organization using AI, right? There is, I forget what you just search AI anywhere right now. It's on all of our iPhones.
OPS is a big one.
Is it?
OPS, yeah.
So I find that it's only on iPad and our iPhones. You can't download it really on a desktop because they want to just keep it native to your phone. Use an AI app. It's super cheap. I think I pay maybe $9-10 a month, or maybe it was a one-time purchase like $15. And then you put your video in there and it puts the captions in there for you. It might be spelled wrong or it might not be the exact word you said. It even puts an emoji in there for you. So we all have no excuse really to put content out, and then we have no excuse to have it edited because it's super cheap, right? If you don't know what to say, go with someone else and look at the content and take it. Like, you're not going to get in trouble using someone else's content. It's you saying it. Rephrase it a little bit. It's not plagiarism, but use what you like, and then use AI. So any AI platform will allow you to have a better looking video.
Yeah, I want to say CapCut is a big
that
one too.
Someone mentioned that yesterday.
Yeah.
For sure.
So would you say with social media, have you gotten a lot of like leads, clients, business from social media?
I'm not the lead type, like from my personal page as well as Viewpoint Lending's corporate page. Not a lot of leads, but what it has done is branding huge.
Right.
When we go somewhere, it's like, dude, I saw you on this, or you know what, your Viewpoint thing, that was funny. So it's really worked, I think, indirectly, kind of like that second layer. It's not a lead call me that wants to buy a refi, but an agent's like, I noticed that, I saw this, I saw that, we're at an event, and then a relationship starts. Right. So it's really done that for us.
Yeah. It's more like planting the seed.
Exactly.
And then something will grow from that.
For
Because I've
sure.
seen it with my social media too. Like they're not like right then and there want to do something, but they'll hit me up like in 4 months. Like
sure.
I'm ready now. I'm like, okay.
For sure.
And going back to leads a little bit, do you have any CRMs that you recommend to people who are starting off? And then what does your follow-up look like?
So the CRM that I've used in the past, and I just changed, it used to be in Touch. It's a little more pricey. Now I use Go High Level, and our loan officers also use Go High Level. It's really, really cheap. Go High Level isn't the best for someone that wants an out-of-the-box already built CRM. If you want something like that, I would probably go with something like Be in Touch. The reason why I like Go High Level is because you could really tailor it. I've got this guy who will say, I said, I wanted to do this. He'll say, cool. He does something in the back. An hour later, my system does that. So it's not like super built out of the box, but Be in Touch is really good. The reason why I chose my CRM as a lender, right? Because you asked me and I'm a lender. I always want a CRM that will tag my partner in there. If I've got a CRM that helps me manage my leads, but doesn't tell my referral source that I'm doing things, meaning they get an alert every time I text them, every time I put a note, every time I make a call, every time I put a note, I want it to automatically send a text or an email to my partner who gave me that lead. Because one of the biggest complaints that a lot of realtors say about lenders is, listen, I give them leads, him or her leads, but I don't know, they go into the black abyss. I don't know what goes on with them. So if I can automatically just be following up, and then my system, as soon as I put a note, attempted phone call, left voicemail, add the note, it already sends an email. That's why I like to Be in Touch and Go High Level right now. In regards to the follow-up, it's really based, what I've learned recently is when my follow-up started getting better when I got a commitment from them on my initial call. So I get a lead, put in my CRM, myself or my assistant will put in the CRM. I give them a call, have my initial consult. I want to find out all the discovery questions. How serious are they, right? What's the proof of life of this client? Is it 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 2 years? That's going to determine my follow-up. On top of that, my follow-up started getting a little bit better, and my response rate on my follow-up calls started getting better when I got a commitment from them. Hey, you know what? It's Tuesday at 11 a.m. Thank you for taking the time. We really have a great call. I'm going to send you the online application. Is it okay if next Tuesday I follow up with you at the same exact time, right? I want to get the commitment, because what I used to say is, how long is it going to take you to gather these items? Okay, cool. I'll give you a call, somewhere in the future, or something vague. I want to give them a time and day that they can expect my call. And then I would sometimes send a calendar invite. So I want that expectation to be there.
Nice.
That's where things started changing for me on my follow-up, and then our team as well.
So with today's market right now, because we know interest rates are through the roof.
Yeah.
What are some struggles right now with all of that right now? Do you see lendings just kind of slowing down, or give us some interest about the market right now? Yeah. So with rates increasing, they hit 8%. They're, hovering somewhere around between 7.5, 8 if you have bad credit. It's really slowed down the market. I'm not going to lie. Like nobody's just hitting it out of the park, right? You're considered a top loan officer if you're closing 2 to 4 or 5 units a month, right? So it really changed. If you can be consistent at 1 a month, you're doing really well in today's market. For the majority, right? You've got people still, hitting 20, 30 units, but those people I'm guessing used to hit 50, 60 units a month. So market's definitely slowed everything down. It's all perspective, like you said earlier, right? The rates going up, it gives us a little bit more buying power on the lending side to ask for some stuff, right? So what did rates do? It really made the payment go up. That's really what it did. So the client can't afford it. So you've either got to give the bad news. Maybe now's not the right time, right? Do the takeaway. Sometimes that actually motivates them. You know what? No, I want to buy. Let me get a family member, right? So it's created this creative type financing of not the financing itself, but let me reach out. Let me see if I can buy units. Let me see if I'll live further. Let me see if I'll get a family member involved, right? So it's not your cookie cut one buyer or a married couple buying their own home, because affordability is a huge factor. And then the other thing that we're pitching is, listen, rates are high. Let me negotiate a closing cost credit for you. 20, 30,000, like a big one that we wouldn't normally ask for before. So everything's relative. If the rates go down, the demand's going to be high, and we're not going to get those credits. So it's really slowed everything down. And one of the problems I'm seeing is most loan officers
don't want to pivot with the market. Like, what are you going to do? If you don't have an open house because there's not as many listings, do social media content. Oh, I'm not good at social media. Like, they don't want to go with the times. You know what I mean? And they don't want to, right. They won't adapt. They won't pivot with the market. They're not perfecting their scripts. They're using scripts from before. And the same way they speak to people when that doesn't work anymore. The market shifts on a month-to-month basis, and you've got to speak to people differently.
And you know what? I think closing costs is a huge one right now. I think when the rates went up last year, all last year, I mean, I was still doing pretty well, and I was getting my clients like full closing costs covered.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great time in this market to try to take advantage of any first-time buyers who want to buy a house.
For sure.
For sure.
I mean, what would you say to like a newer agent or a newer like loan officer jumping into this market, right? Would you say just kind of get like a mentorship, or what would you say to them? So
one, surround yourself with a community that they have some type of weekly to daily activity, because you're going to get discouraged. Someone wants to hit the market right now, brand new agent or loan officer. Find yourself a community that you have something to belong to. It's not about your split. It's not about 100% split. It's not about 95% split. It's about your community when you first get in. Someone that's going to be your cheerleader, right? Yeah. Going to cheer you on. On top of that, just work harder than most people. A lot of people are getting out of the industry because they don't want to put in the work, right? So I think a lot of people, even that aren't even new, they say no a lot. You know what? No, I don't do in-house appointments. That's far. Like, that's the valley. Like, no, you got to say yes to a lot more, right? I don't have my own listing, so I'm not going to do an open house. Then find one, right? I'm not going to do that listing because it's 90 days old. Screw it. Like, market it, do a video, make it look like it's your listing. Yeah. Right? So there's really no excuses. So work harder than other people. Say yes to a lot more. Once you're super busy, then you could start saying no to the things, right? And then I think one of the most important things is feed yourself. Podcasts, books, and the community helps that. Because if you have a community that does that, if you want to work out and you want to work out 6-7 days a week, are you going to hang out with the guy that works out 1 day a week? Or are you going to hang out with people that are working 6 days, working out 6-7 days a week? So find the people that are doing the daily activities you want. Just hang around them, right? And then start getting into that groove. And then hit social media hard. It's free. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And I think that's why I love Viewpoint Lending so much, is because you guys focus on mindset and accountability.
100%.
Which I feel like a lot of companies lack that.
Right.
So I do notice that, and I feel like your loan officers appreciate it, you know, because they need someone to hold themselves accountable.
For sure. Yeah. And that's how we've pivoted. You know, if the market was really good, I wouldn't be calling our loan officers, and maybe I would because it's just in my heart, but I wouldn't be doing it as much. If the market's really good and they have the business, they don't need accountability because they're doing the business. But right now, it's morphed into our Viewpoint Reloaded Daily Huddle that everybody that signed up for it, it's only about 6-7 people, I call them every day. Hey, where are you at with your calls? And I put on a tally sheet, and everybody sees the tally sheet. Hey, did you wake up early today? Hey, did you exercise and did you meditate today? Because they chose what they wanted to be held accountable for. So with that market, the accountability has become more direct. You know, last year, I wasn't doing this accountability because people had the business. Right. They're like, I don't need accountability right now. Now we need it. I could have made a choice to say, you know what, I don't have the time to do that because I got other stuff to do, but let me help out our loan office because it's also helping me out, hold myself accountable. So I call them every day. Where are you at? Did you hit your calls? Did you not? Okay, cool. No, you didn't. And hopefully it gets them mad enough. They're like, I didn't hit my calls. I feel guilty. Let me hit them tomorrow.
Yeah. And I think that speaks volume as to like who you are as a leader.
Thanks.
So that's awesome.
Nice. Honestly, Chris, you've shared some really great information today. And I love your accountability course. Like, that's just awesome. You don't see a lot of offices, leaders that kind of...
Are you going to join, Keith?
You know what? Why not?
Nah, he ain't getting up early. Why not? 5 a.m. Keith, it would come in like...
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a hard one for me, but... Who knows? We'll see. I might have to change it up a little bit. What last advice could you give a starting out realtor, starting out entrepreneur, starting lender, someone starting out their business? What last advice could you give them?
So if you're becoming an entrepreneur, right? That's really what you asked is someone's going to become a lender, realtor, whatever it might be. You're really changing worlds, right? Find the people to ask advice from, right? Okay. It's going to be discouraging. I'm not going to lie, especially in this recession we're in, right? Find the people that you can lean on that have gone through what you have already, that you can have their number, text them, whatever it might be. On top of that, do whatever makes you feel good to stay positive, because you're going to get discouraged. You're going to have days that you don't want to do it, or why am I doing this? whether that's the music you listen to gets you upbeat, whether it's the podcast, like really with the technology we have, you literally, if you don't know how to change your transmission on a car, any one of us in this room can go to YouTube and say, how do I change the transmission on a car? Like if you want to be an entrepreneur, your dad and mom, when they first got in, like they didn't have YouTube to then teach them sales techniques and scripts and all this stuff. Like start looking for things to become an entrepreneur. Go into YouTube and search entrepreneur. Go into YouTube and say, how do I become the best realtor? Like go search for these things. Don't just let it come to you. Because if you're brand new, you've got to equip yourself, because if you're brand new to sales, in the 80s, if someone got into sales, it's going to take them a long time to ramp up. Nowadays, if you go hard for it and utilize the technology, you can ramp up in like 3 months, so, and then that community, right? So find something, stay positive, have someone around you that's a positive influence, because it's going to get tough.
Yeah. I would also say that I'm a brand new realtor, try to copy out someone else's like business model. Sometimes it might not work for me. So as a new like realtor or loan officer, expose yourself to a lot of different business models, so you can kind of pick and choose which ones work for you.
For sure.
And then kind of create your own system.
For sure.
'Cause I know that's helped me. Like I don't do exactly what someone else does, but I like this and I like that, and I just smush it all together.
Right. Which means you have to have an open mind, and you also need to you also need to choose different channels. Like, let me see what works. Like, don't just listen to that one person. You've got to have different people that you bounce the ideas off of, not just one. Right. So find out what you like. For sure.
That's a big thing.
Nice. All right, Chris, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to pitch your business. Give me a slogan or a pitch why we should work with you.
Viewpoint Lending, mortgages done differently. That's really what we're about. We want to change the lives of people around us, whether you're in real estate, whether you're getting a mortgage. We just do things differently than most people, because it's the people that work at our company that really make the difference. It's not the products.
Let's give him a round of applause for that. All right.
Thank you.
Awesome, Chris. So once again, thank you so much for coming on our podcast. Again, that was great information. I think this is really going to help others kind of make the next step in their own lives.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Hope to have you again soon. And thank you guys for listening. Tune in next week for our next podcast.
All right. Bye.
Bye.